right? If Superman has taught us anything, it's that glasses are the ultimate disguise. Are you recording?
Yeah.
Sweet. So here's the secret to passive voice. Words are not the thing they describe. You call me Scott, but nothing about me is Scott. My parents were actually going to almost name me Jeff, right? So you have to realize that you can say things any number of ways and it can still be true. I'm going to perform an action here. That sounds weird. And I want you to describe this. Write a sentence describing what's happening here.
Child abuse.
Okay. What? Yes? All right, how old are you?
18.
No, so it's not child abuse. It's merely assault. Hey, what just happened? Someone describe that.
He's getting bullied because it was repetitive.
Someone write a sentence about that. Yeah.
Scott leaned over and punched.
Shorter. 3 words only.
Scott punched Peter.
Good. There is another way to say this exact same thing, but put Peter first.
Peter got punched.
Actually, there's 3 ways you can say this.
Peter was punched.
Well, got and was are synonyms. Got is merely slang for was. But we're going to write it one more way. I don't even know if this is legible. You see that? They're all true. They all describe the same thing truly. However, some do, we're studying rhetoric, some emphasize different things over others. This one here emphasizes me, the puncher, because I'm first, right? And it emphasizes the action punching, because it's before anything else. Does that make sense? This one emphasizes the thing I'm punching, but it also kind of de-emphasizes punched because it adds a word in front of it, like a stumbling block or a speed bump. Think about it, that's a good analogy. It's like a speed bump. It slows it down and gets kind of in the way, right? This sentence, step one side, just so we can see a little bit better. This sentence is particularly tricky because it doesn't say who did the punching, right? Now, I have a theory that everyone writes this way in their rough drafts. Even me, greatest writers in the world. I'm not the greatest writer in the world, I'm just saying. All the writers in their first draft write this way. And my theory is because as we're trying to figure out what we want to say, like we kind of stumble over our words and it gets a little longer. So our first drafts are for us. Our second drafts are for our readers. It's way clearer for the readers to write it this way, for them to understand who's doing the action, what the action is, and who it's going towards. This is like the way our brains work when we're reading information. Does that make sense? So what you have to do is find and eliminate this. This is called passive voice. What you should do, and there's a little assignment on Canvas for this that's worth 0 points, so you don't actually have to do it, but it's just there so you can know how to do it. It's got a whole list, you can sit down if you want. It's got a whole list of the words that you can put here. They're called helping verbs.
Yes.
And then type in one of the helping verbs. Highlight them all. And if that helping verb is helping a verb, you have passive voice. There are times when it doesn't work that way. Let's say this is was instead. What if you said, Peter was tall? Is that true? Well, I actually don't know if that's true, right? It's not true. But this is not a helping verb because what verb would it be helping? There's no other verbs there. Does that make sense? Was stretched. Now there's another verb there. Who stretched him tall? By the giant. Right? Now that's passive voice. Now if you're a really smart person, you're going to ask me, but Mr. Gunther, is there ever a time when passive voice is okay? Is anyone in here really smart? Guess not. Mr. Gunther, is there ever a time when passive voice is okay? I'm glad you asked. You'll see this a lot in police writing, when they're writing police reports, because they don't want it to be, they don't want to draw attention to the fact that, like, how do I put this? The pedestrian was struck. And so they're trying to like obscure who did it because they can't prove it yet. Or they use this a lot in science and medicine. They will say things like, the universe was created 3,000 years ago, because they don't want to get into the whole debate about who or what created the universe. And so they just kind of leave that off. Does that make sense? Because it's not something they want to draw attention to. They don't want to say God created the universe 3,000 years ago, or the monkeys we descended from created the universe 3,000 years ago, right? They don't want to get into that debate, so they just chop it off. But for the vast majority of our writing, we want to emphasize the verb and the thing doing the verb. And how do you do that? Find any of those helping verbs, and if they're helping another verb, chop it, which involves rewriting and restructuring your sentences. Any questions? Cut.